The air was heavy with mist as Evan trudged through the dense forest of the hidden valley. He had come to this planet seeking rare minerals, but the valley was unlike anything he had ever seen. Massive trees stretched into the clouds, their roots twisting like ancient serpents. Strange, glowing plants lit the path, and distant roars echoed through the mountains. He had heard rumors of dragons here, but he thought they were just old stories told by miners to scare newcomers. Evan's boots slipped on damp rocks as he followed the sound of a cry. It was soft but urgent, a sound that seemed to call directly to him. He pushed through a thick wall of vines and stopped short. There, in a small clearing, lay a dragon. She was unlike the fearsome beasts of legend. Her scales shimmered like liquid silver, and her wings, though tattered, stretched wide and powerful. One of her legs was twisted at an awkward angle and she struggled to breathe. For a moment, Evan froze. Fear clutched his chest. Dragons were supposed to be terrifying. But as he looked into her large amber eyes, he saw something else, pain but also intelligence and trust. Against his better judgment he stepped forward. The dragon hissed softly, a sound that was more a plea than a threat. "I'm not here to hurt you," Evan whispered. He knelt and carefully examined her injured leg. His hands were steady even though his heart raced. He remembered the first aid lessons from his training back on Earth and worked gently to stabilize the limb. He tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and made a splint. The dragon flinched at first, but then she allowed him to continue. Hours passed. The mist grew thicker and the valley seemed to close in around them. Evan gave her water from his canteen and fed her some protein bars he carried. The dragon ate cautiously, tasting each bite before trusting him with more. As night fell, he built a small fire, careful not to startle her. The glow reflected in her eyes, and for the first time she lowered her head in a gesture of acceptance. Evan felt a strange connection forming. It was not just empathy for an injured creature. There was something in her gaze that spoke to him, as if she understood him in a way no human ever had. He talked to her softly, telling her about his life, his travels, and the loneliness he sometimes felt among humans. The dragon listened, tilting her head as though she comprehended every word. Suddenly she moved closer and pressed her silver-scaled snout against his shoulder. A shiver ran down Evan's spine. It was a gesture of trust, perhaps even recognition. He realized then that she was not an ordinary dragon. Something about her presence felt regal, commanding, yet gentle. She was a princess of her kind, and somehow she had chosen him. The silence of the night was broken by distant echoes, other dragons watching from the shadows. Evan felt a wave of fear. Were they hostile? Would they attack him for helping their princess? But the dragon beside him let out a soft, low growl, a warning to any who might come near. Evan's fear eased slightly. She was protecting him as much as he was protecting her. He spent the night by her side keeping watch. He learned to read her subtle movements, the twitch of a wing, the flick of her tail. She was cautious, but she did not try to escape. By dawn, her breathing had steadied and she could lift her head more easily. Evan knew it was not a complete recovery, but it was a start. In the morning, the dragon stretched her wings slowly, testing their strength. Evan helped her stand, supporting her until she could balance on all four legs. She looked at him with those amber eyes, and for a moment, there was no distance between human and dragon. He reached out a hand and she pressed her head against it, as if acknowledging a silent promise. Evan realized he could not leave her here alone. The valley was dangerous and she would not survive long without help. But taking her out was impossible. The other dragons would notice immediately. He needed a plan, one that would allow him to help her without causing a war between humans and dragons. He decided to move cautiously. Each day he would bring food and water, tending to her wounds and learning more about her habits. He began to notice small signs, her favorite resting spots, the way she tilted her head when she was curious, the way her scales shimmered under different lights. He documented everything in his notebook, understanding that knowledge would be their greatest ally. Time passed and their bond grew. The dragon, whom he now thought of as Lysera, began to trust him completely. She allowed him to touch her wings and even nuzzle her snout against his chest. In return, Evan felt a courage he had never known. It was as if being near her gave him strength, focus, and purpose. One evening, while the sun painted the sky in streaks of orange and pink, Evan noticed movement at the edge of the clearing. Dragons, larger and older, were approaching. Their eyes glinted with suspicion and authority. Evan's heart pounded. He knew this moment would define everything. He could not run. He could not hide. Lysera stood, her wings partially unfurled, and let out a powerful roar. It was both a warning and a declaration. Evan stepped forward, feeling the heat of her resolve. Somehow he knew that this was not just about survival. This was about trust, courage, and choice. The dragon princess had already made hers. She had claimed him as her ally, perhaps more, and now the world would have to accept it, or face her wrath. The elders stopped at the edge of the clearing, their massive bodies casting long shadows. Lysra's roar echoed through the valley, a sound that carried power, authority, and warning. Evan stood beside her, unarmed and unafraid. In that moment he realized something extraordinary. This was not just a meeting of human and dragon. This was the beginning of a bond that could change everything. And though the elders had their doubts and the valley seemed filled with unseen dangers, Evan felt a spark of hope. Against all odds, he and the dragon princess had found each other. The forbidden meeting had already begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The morning sun spilled through the mist, casting long shadows across the hidden valley. Evan awoke to find Lysra already standing, her silver scales glinting in the soft light. She had grown stronger overnight, her legs steady enough for her to move with grace. For a moment, she watched him with those intelligent amber eyes, as if checking whether he was ready for what the day would bring. Evan felt a mix of awe and nervousness. He had come here to explore, but now he was part of something far bigger than himself. "Today I will show you the valley," Lysra said in her mind, using the strange gift that allowed her to communicate with him silently. Evan nodded, unsure how he would respond without speaking aloud. He had noticed that the valley seemed alive, almost aware of their presence. Every plant, every stream seemed to guide them forward. As they walked deeper into the forest, Evan noticed structures hidden among the trees. Giant stone platforms, carved with symbols he did not recognize, jutted from the cliffs. Vines curled around them, hiding their purpose. Lysra led him to one of the platforms, and as they climbed, Evan saw a series of carvings that depicted dragons and humans together, working as one. Some scenes showed humans riding dragons, others showed humans presenting strange tools and machines. "These are the archives of my ancestors," Lysra communicated. "They recorded our history and our connection with humans long ago." Evan ran his fingers over the carvings. He felt a thrill he had never known before. Humans had been part of this world before, but somehow their history had been lost, or erased. He realized the dragon's distrust of humans was based on ancient fears, not current reality. Lysra led him to a hidden cave behind a waterfall. Inside, the walls glowed with bioluminescent moss, revealing shelves filled with scrolls, crystals, and devices that seemed to hum with energy. Evan's eyes widened. He had stumbled upon technology far beyond human understanding. Tools that could harness energy from the valley itself, instruments that could communicate across vast distances, and books filled with knowledge that humans had never dreamed of. "This is our legacy," Lysra said. "But it is dangerous. Not all dragons want humans to know this." Evan nodded, understanding that their bond made them both vulnerable. He carefully examined the devices, noting how they could store energy, record information, and even map the stars. He realized that humans could learn much from this knowledge, but also that it could be misused. He felt a weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. As they explored, distant shadows moved among the trees. Elder dragons, tall and imposing, watched from the edges of the valley. Evan's heart tightened. He knew they would not approve of his presence, yet Lysra did not show fear. She lifted her head and let out a soft, warning hum. The elders paused, their amber eyes fixed on the human, and then slowly retreated into the shadows. Evan realized that their bond gave them strength, even in the face of centuries-old prejudice. By afternoon, they reached a circular clearing with a pool of crystal-clear water. The pool reflected the sky like a mirror, and the valley around them seemed to glow in response to their presence. Lysra stepped into the water and gestured for Evan to follow. Hesitant at first, he dipped his hand into the pool, feeling a surge of energy course through him. The water seemed to respond to their thoughts, rippling gently when they moved, glowing brighter when they focused. "This pool holds the memory of the valley," Lysra communicated. "It can show you what has happened here and what might come." Evan watched in awe as visions appeared in the water. He saw dragons working with humans, sharing knowledge, creating cities that blended nature and technology. He saw battles where dragons protected humans from alien invaders. And he saw the valley itself, almost like a living being, responding to the choices of its inhabitants. "This is incredible," he whispered aloud, though the words felt small compared to what he was seeing. "The valley remembers everything." Lysra touched his shoulder, and he felt a warmth that was more than physical. It was as if she were sharing her trust and understanding directly with him. "You are part of this now," she said. "And so are your choices." You must decide how far you are willing to go to protect it, and me." The sound of wings stirred the air. Elder dragons landed nearby, their massive forms casting shadows across the clearing. One of them, larger and older than the rest, stepped forward. His scales were dark and scarred, his eyes sharp with judgment. Evan felt a wave of fear, but he did not move. Lysra stood beside him, wings partially spread, a silent promise that she would not let harm come to him. "You should not be here," the elder growled, his voice like rolling thunder. "No human has ever walked in the inner valley. It is forbidden." Evan swallowed hard. "I mean no harm," he said, though his voice trembled. "I only want to help her, to learn and to understand." The elder's gaze shifted to Lysra, and she pressed her head against Evan's shoulder. "She trusts him," Lysra communicated, her voice firm in his mind. "He is not like other humans. He is brave, kind, and wise. He can help us, if you let him." For a tense moment, silence ruled the clearing. The elder's eyes narrowed, and for a second, Evan thought they would attack. But then, slowly, the elder nodded. "We will watch him," he said. "But he must prove himself worthy. The valley cannot be harmed by one who does not understand it." Evan felt relief wash over him, but he knew this was only the beginning. He had seen the secrets of the valley, and he understood that knowledge alone was not enough. He would have to earn the trust of the dragons, face dangers, and show that humans could be more than outsiders, they could be allies. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, Evan and Lysra sat by the pool. The water shimmered around them, reflecting not just the valley but their growing bond. They knew the elders would be watching, the valley would be testing them, and danger could come from any direction. But for the first time, Evan felt a sense of purpose. He was no longer just an explorer. He was a protector, a student of dragon knowledge, and something more, a friend, perhaps even a chosen companion, to the dragon princess who had already claimed him. The valley's secrets were vast, the elders wary, and the future uncertain, but together human and dragon were ready to face whatever came next. And so, with the glow of the valley around them, Evan and Lysra began the next step of their journey, learning the true power of trust, courage, and the bond between human and dragon. The morning air was crisp as Evan and Lysra stood at the edge of the valley. Beyond them lay jagged mountains, deep chasms, and forests darker than any they had crossed before. The elder dragons had called this the trial of worth, a test for anyone who wished to be near the princess. Evan swallowed hard. He knew failure was not an option, not only for himself but for Lysra, who had trusted him. Lysra spread her wings and nudged him forward. Her amber eyes met his, steady and determined. "I will be by your side," she said silently. "But you must do this yourself." The first challenge appeared immediately, a narrow path along a sheer cliff. The rocks were slick from morning mist, and the wind howled like a living thing. Evan carefully stepped forward, feeling the edge beneath his boots. One false move could send him tumbling into the valley below. He focused on each step, remembering the lessons he had learned from climbing and hiking back on Earth. Lysra flew close, her wings stirring the air to shield him from sudden gusts. Halfway along the path, a rock gave way under his weight. Evan caught himself, heart racing. Lysra let out a low roar that echoed off the cliffs, warning nearby creatures. A small, winged predator swooped from a ledge, attracted by the movement. Without thinking, Evan grabbed a sturdy branch and swung it, startling the creature. It veered away, circling high above, and disappeared. He exhaled, realizing the first part of the trial was as much about courage and quick thinking as physical skill. The path opened into a dense forest filled with strange, glowing plants. Strange noises surrounded him, whispers, rustles, and distant cries. According to Lysra, this part of the trial tested intellect and perception. Ancient traps and puzzles had been hidden here for centuries to challenge those unworthy. Evan walked carefully, observing patterns in the moss, the arrangement of stones, and the flow of water. A series of stepping stones led across a river, each one engraved with a symbol. Some symbols glowed faintly, others were dark. Evan remembered the carvings he had seen in the valley archives. Slowly, he arranged the stones in a sequence that matched the patterns of dragon and human cooperation. The stones lit up one by one, forming a bridge across the water. Lysra watched silently, impressed by his reasoning. As they continued, a sudden roar split the air. A massive beast, a predator from the mountains, leapt from the shadows. Its eyes glowed red and its claws dug into the ground. Evan froze for a heartbeat before Lysra lunged, her wings striking like hammers. She kept the beast distracted, giving Evan a chance to think. He grabbed a sharp rock and hurled it at the creature, hitting a sensitive spot on its head. The beast faltered, giving them a chance to escape into a thicket. Evan's mind raced. The trial was not just physical. It demanded courage, intelligence, and quick decisions under pressure. Lysra moved silently beside him, guiding him with subtle gestures. She trusted him to make choices, but she was ready to intervene if he faltered. The balance between human skill and dragon instinct became clear to him. They were stronger together, but each had to play their part. Night fell, and they reached a canyon where the final test awaited. A massive puzzle of stones and carvings blocked their path. The elder dragon who had first warned Evan appeared, watching silently from a ledge above. "This is your final trial," he rumbled. "Solve it and you will prove your worth. Fail and you will leave here alone." Evan examined the carvings carefully. They depicted scenes of dragons and humans sharing knowledge. Dragons teaching flight and strength, humans teaching tools, problem-solving and planning. He realized the solution was not just about matching symbols, but understanding cooperation. He touched the stones in a sequence that reflected balance between instinct and logic, courage and wisdom. The stones began to glow and slowly, a path opened through the canyon. The elder dragon's eyes softened slightly. He had watched Evan struggle, think and act with bravery and intelligence. "You have proven your worth," he said. "Not by strength alone but by heart and mind. You may remain by her side." Lysra stepped forward, her wings partially spread, radiating pride and relief. She nudged Evan gently, letting him know that his courage had earned her trust fully. Evan smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced dangers he could never have imagined and survived through cleverness, bravery, and the bond they had forged. But the trial was more than just surviving obstacles. It was a lesson in understanding. Evan saw that dragons valued more than brute strength. They valued trust, cooperation, and insight. Humans had skills that complemented theirs, and for the first time, Evan understood the meaning of worthy. It was not about being stronger or faster. It was about using intelligence, courage, and heart to face challenges. As they rested on a high ledge, watching the moon rise over the valley, Evan felt a deeper connection to Lysra. He realized the trial had tested not just him but their partnership. He had learned to rely on her instincts, while she had learned to trust his mind and his courage. The bond between them had strengthened in ways that neither could have predicted. From the shadows, the elder dragons observed silently. They had doubted the human, yet now they could not deny his bravery and intelligence. He had passed their ancient test, showing that humans could be more than outsiders. They could be allies, protectors, and even companions to a dragon princess. Evan looked at Lysra, her silver scales shimmering under the moonlight. "We did it," he whispered. She nudged him softly, communicating in a way only he could feel, a mix of pride, relief, and trust. The trial had ended, but the journey was far from over. They would face more challenges, more tests, and the scrutiny of all dragon elders. Yet Evan felt ready. For the first time he understood that being human in a world of dragons was not a weakness, it was a strength. His mind, his courage, and his heart had earned a place beside the princess. As they prepared to descend the mountains, the wind carried the distant sound of roars and whispers. The valley was alive, testing, observing and waiting. But Evan no longer feared it. Together, human and dragon, they had proven that bonds could overcome tradition, and that courage and intelligence could change the course of history. And in that moment, Evan knew one thing clearly. He was no longer just a visitor in the valley. He was a chosen companion, a protector, and a part of a story that would be remembered by dragons and humans alike. The valley was quiet that morning, but the tension in the air was thick. Evan and Lysra stood together near the heart of the dragon city. Word of Evan's success in the trial had spread, and now the elders were ready to confront them. Their eyes, sharp and ancient, glinted with suspicion and anger. "You should not be here," the eldest dragon said, his voice like stone. "No human has the right to be near our princess. You are an outsider, and your kind is not trusted." Evan swallowed hard, but he did not step back. He had faced dangers far greater than words. He looked at Lysra, who stood with her wings partially spread, radiating quiet authority. She had chosen him, and she would not bend to fear or tradition. "I mean no harm," Evan said, his voice steady. "I have proven my courage. I have faced the trial and survived. I have learned from your history and your knowledge. I only wish to help her, and to protect this valley with her." The elder dragon snorted, the sound shaking the nearby trees. "Courage is not enough. Humans have no place in our councils, no place in our laws. Our traditions are older than you can imagine. The princess cannot choose freely. You must leave. Lysra stepped forward, her amber eyes locking with the elders. I choose him, she said, her voice clear and firm in Evan's mind. I have tested him and he has shown wisdom, bravery and respect for our ways. Tradition cannot outweigh what is right. The elders murmured among themselves, their massive heads moving like dark waves. Some looked doubtful, others angry. Evan realized the battle was not of claws or teeth, but of understanding and courage. He had to show them why a human could belong here, not just to Lysra but to the dragons themselves. He spoke slowly, carefully. I know I am different. I am human. But that does not mean I cannot learn, adapt, and help. I have studied your history. I have seen the valley's secrets. I can use my mind to solve problems that dragons alone might not. I can fight, think, and protect, side by side with Lysra. The eldest dragon's eyes narrowed. Words are easy, he said. Actions are harder. How can we trust that you will not bring harm, that your kind will not destroy what we have preserved for centuries? Evan nodded. Then let me show you. I'm not asking for trust blindly. I will prove it through action, through loyalty, through courage. I will protect the valley, Lysra, and your people. I am not a threat, I am a choice. Lysra brushed against his side, sending a warmth through him that gave him strength. He speaks the truth, she said. He is not like other humans. He respects the valley, our history, and our people. He is worthy. One of the younger elders stepped forward, his scales glinting in the morning sun. And if he fails? He asked. If his actions harm us, what then? Evan looked around the clearing. He could feel the power of the valley in the trees, the rocks, and the air itself. He thought of every challenge he had faced, the cliff, the forest, the canyon. He had survived and learned. Then I will face the consequences, he said. But I will not fail. I cannot fail her or this valley. A long silence followed. The elder dragons circled them, observing every movement, every breath. Evan stood tall, side by side with Lysra, and met each gaze without fear. Slowly, the oldest elder lowered his head slightly. Perhaps, he said, we have judged too quickly. You have faced the trial. You have learned our ways. You have shown courage and wisdom beyond what we expected. Evan felt relief wash over him, but he did not relax completely. He knew this was only the beginning. The elder's acceptance was fragile, and any misstep could undo it. Lysra nuzzled him gently. You have done well, she communicated. But remember, their trust is earned, not given. We must continue to show them that this bond is right, not just for us but for the valley. Together, they walked through the city, the elder dragons watching closely. Evan noticed how differently he saw everything now, the carvings on the walls, the flow of the river, the placement of the nests. Every detail was connected, and understanding it was part of gaining the elders' trust. During the day they encountered challenges that tested their cooperation. A sudden rock slide trapped a group of younger dragons, and Evan immediately sprang into action. Using both his strength and ingenuity, he moved debris and guided the dragons to safety. Lysra assisted, using her wings and fire to stabilize loose rocks. The elders observed in silence, their eyes revealing grudging respect. As evening approached, the council of elders gathered around a massive stone platform. We have seen your courage and your mind, the eldest said, his voice calmer now. We have seen your respect for the valley and for Lysra. Perhaps there is a place for you here. But know this, your actions must continue to prove your worth. Tradition is not easily changed. Evan bowed slightly, a gesture of respect he had learned from studying their history. I understand, he said. I do not ask for privilege. I only ask for the chance to serve and protect. Lysra pressed her head against his arm. Together they had faced fear, judgment, and ancient laws. They had shown that a human could not only survive but thrive among dragons, that intelligence, courage, and heart mattered more than age-old prejudice. The elder dragons looked at one another, then back at them. We will watch, the eldest said finally. But for now you may remain. Let your actions speak louder than words. Evan exhaled, a mixture of relief and determination filling him. The confrontation was over, but the path ahead remained full of challenges. He had faced tradition and won a fragile victory, but the journey to truly earn the trust of the dragons and protect the valley was only beginning. That night, as Evan and Lysra sat beneath the stars, the valley seemed to breathe around them. He had learned a powerful lesson. Courage and wisdom could challenge even the oldest traditions. And with Lysra by his side, he knew they could face whatever came next, together as allies, as friends, and perhaps as something even more. The bond they shared had begun to change the valley itself. The elders might still be cautious, but they had seen the possibility of something new. A future where humans and dragons could work together, learn from each other, and protect the world they both loved. And for the first time, Evan felt that he was not just a visitor in the valley, but a part of its story, a part of its future, and a part of Lysera's life. The valley was bathed in soft morning light as Evan and Lysera stood atop the cliffs overlooking the heart of the Dragon City. The elders had given their cautious acceptance, but their eyes still watched every move. Evan felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. He had faced trials, won respect, and survived the confrontation with tradition. But the true test was just beginning, living as part of a world that had never fully accepted humans. Lysera nudged him gently, her wings stretching wide. "It is time," she said silently. "The bond we share is not just for us. It is for the valley, for the future of our species together." Evan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had come to the valley seeking adventure, but he had found something far greater, a purpose. Together, they descended into the city, and the dragons watched them move as a single unit. He realized that their actions, more than words, would prove the truth of their bond. Their first challenge came sooner than expected. A rival clan of dragons from a distant mountain had heard of a human in the inner valley and considered it a threat. They approached with speed, their roars echoing through the canyon. Lysera's wings lifted, and she glared at them with authority. Evan stood beside her, heart pounding but ready. The attackers swooped down and chaos erupted. The elders hesitated, unsure whether to join the fight. Evan acted instinctively, using his knowledge of both dragon behavior and human strategy. He shouted directions to Lysera, guiding her movements to block the attackers' flight paths, while he helped redirect younger dragons to safer ground. Using rocks, makeshift levers, and clever positioning, he turned the environment to their advantage. Lysera moved with precision, striking in bursts of fire and claw, while Evan coordinated the defense. Their teamwork was seamless, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and dragon strength. The rival dragons soon realized they had underestimated the valley's defenders and retreated, leaving the inner valley safe. The elders emerged from the shadows, observing with awe. They had doubted a human could make a difference, yet Evan had not only survived but had led in a moment of crisis. He had proven that humans could contribute in ways dragons alone could not. After the battle, the valley slowly returned to calm. Evan and Lysera walked together to the crystal pool that had first shown him the valley's memories. The water shimmered in the afternoon sun, reflecting not just their images but the unity of their bond. "You have shown more than courage," Lysera communicated. "You have shown wisdom, patience, and a willingness to learn. The elders see it now, though they may not say so aloud. You are part of this world, Evan, and you are part of me." Evan touched her scaled cheek, feeling the warmth and strength beneath. "I never thought I would belong anywhere like this," he admitted. "But with you, I understand that it is not about being human or dragon. It is about trust, courage, and working together." Lysera's eyes glimmered. "Exactly. That is why our bond matters. It is a bridge between our kinds. It shows that we can be allies, protectors, and friends." Over the following weeks, Evan worked alongside the dragons, learning their ways while sharing his knowledge. He taught them simple tools that could make life easier, strategies to defend the valley, and ways to read the stars that humans had long mastered. In return, the dragons taught him the art of flight navigation, survival, and understanding the subtle language of the valley. Slowly, the elders' skepticism faded. They saw how Evan's presence strengthened the princess, how their bond inspired younger dragons, and how human and dragon cooperation could make the valley stronger than ever. Tradition was not erased, but it evolved. The valley itself seemed to respond, glowing brighter, flowing smoother, and feeling more alive. One evening, Evan and Lysera stood on the highest cliff. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with orange and violet streaks. Below, the valley thrummed with life, dragons soaring, humans learning, and the city humming with energy. Evan realized that this world, once closed to him, now embraced him as one of its protectors. Lysera pressed her head against his shoulder. "The elders have accepted us," she said. "But more importantly, we have shown that bonds can change minds, hearts, and worlds. What we start here can reach far beyond this valley." Evan smiled, feeling a surge of pride and hope. "Then we will continue," he said. "We will protect this valley, help the dragons, and show that humans are more than outsiders. We will create a future together." The dragon princess nudged him gently, her wings spreading wide as if to embrace the horizon. "And we will," she replied. "Side by side we are stronger than any challenge. Together we can face anything." The elders, watching from a distance, exchanged silent glances. Though they remained cautious, they could not deny the truth. A human and a dragon princess had forged a bond that strengthened both species. They had faced danger, prejudice, and tradition, and emerged victorious. In the weeks that followed, stories spread across the valley. Young dragons spoke of Evan's courage and intelligence, and older dragons told of Lysera's wisdom in choosing him. The humans who had arrived to explore the valley saw not just dragons, but allies who welcomed cooperation and trust. Bridges were built, both literal and symbolic, between species, creating a future that no one could have imagined before. Evan often thought back to the first moment he met Lysera, wounded and fearful. He had never expected that a chance encounter would lead to this. A life intertwined with dragons, a bond stronger than tradition, and a role in shaping the future of an entire world. At night, as he lay beside Lysera beneath the glowing canopy, he felt a peace he had never known. The valley, alive and vibrant, whispered around them, celebrating their bond. He understood that the world had changed not just because of courage but because of understanding, trust, and love. Lysera closed her eyes, resting her head on his chest. "We have begun something extraordinary," she whispered. "And it will grow as long as we protect it together." Evan held her close, feeling the power of their connection. "Then we will protect it," he promised. "Always." The valley shimmered under the stars, alive with the energy of dragons and humans working together. A bond had formed that could not be broken, a bond that would change the worlds around them. And in that quiet moment, human and dragon stood together, ready to face any future, side by side, trusted and chosen, united in courage, wisdom, and heart. Their story would be told for generations, a legend of trust, bravery, and the impossible bond between species. The dragon princess had claimed the human, and together they had changed the world.